Okay, so we are now ready to start, and the first thing that we are going to do is to delete all the code. Next, we need to import a specific file so that we have what we need in order to build our Flutter app. So the first thing we do is to type in import, and then in single quotes we start typing material, and Android Studio is suggesting a package that we can import in here. This is the correct one, so we type enter. And then next thing we want to do is to define the entry point of our application. So in here we can type void main, and this is the main method of our app. Now in here we need to tell Flutter to run our app. So we're going to invoke a method which is called run app, and we can see that it takes one parameter, which is the root widget of our entire app. So in a second we'll create a class for our root widget, and we can really give it any name we want. So in here, I'm just going to choose to call it my app, just like that. And when I do this, Android Studio points out that this name is not yet defined, and that's because we haven't declared it to be a class just yet. Alright, so next I'm just going to go down here, and what I want to do is to create a class which will extend stateless widget, and that name of that class will be my app. Now I could just type in all of this manually, but instead I'm going to use a really cool feature of Android Studio which is called templates. So what I can do is start typing in stateless, and I can see that Android Studio is proposing me a few different options. So I'm gonna choose the first one, and I can see that it's now filled in all the template that is needed to create a stateless widget class. So all I have left to do is just to type in the name of my class, which is my app, and I'm done. Okay, so what I have here is a minimal Flutter app, and this is code that will already compile. In fact, I can just try to hot reload the app, and what I'm going to get is a black screen. Now, just so you know, this is completely expected, and that's because even though we have created our widget, we are not really showing anything interesting yet. Before we write any more code, I want to explain a little bit more in detail what we have done. So on the first line of this file, we have imported the material file from the Flutter package. As we continue on this course, we will often have to import things that are defined in other files. So the place to put these imports is always at the top of the Dart file. The syntax of the Dart import statement is always like this. So you have an import keyword at the beginning, and then within quotes you type in package, colon, and then the path to the file that you're after. Alright, then we have defined the main method, and every Flutter app always requires a main method, and inside it you always want to call run app with the root widget of your app. Then we have created our first widget, which is called my app and is a stateless widget, and because of this it needs to implement a build method. Now here Android Studio has inserted an override annotation for us. What this does is tell the compiler that we're actually overriding a method on the superclass, and in this case this is stateless widget. The build method returns a widget and takes a build context as a parameter, and we will see a bit later what the build context is for. Finally, we return a container object here, which is a very common Flutter widget. We will also explore this a little later. Okay, so we're now ready to replace this black screen with something more interesting, and we'll do that in the next video.